Okay, continuing on page 205, let's talk about those comparison operators one more time. I know this is a little confusing, but just bear with me. If I have something stored in a variable that looks like a number, like 5, I store something, I go in here and I say something equals 5. Okay, and then I said if $, something equals 5, is that going to work? Yeah, because I'm treating it like a string. Okay? See, the machine really doesn't know what this thing is. It doesn't know if it's a string or a number. That would work. Let's do this. What if I said something equals 5? Would that work? Yeah, for the very same reason. Right? Because I'm treating it as if it's a number. It says, okay, it must be a number. If I treat it like it's a string, it must be a string. And then, of course, if you really wanted to go nuts, I guess you could go in here and, do this. Right? This is always valid. Remember, we talked about how any place where you're using a variable, you should always, you have the choice of putting in the curly braces. So notice the spacing around the square brackets on both sides of the square brackets, and the spacing around the dash equals or the equals, okay, that guy, those are kind of important. Those spaces are important. Okay. All right, so the next one is about a common thing you do in a script is to find out if a file actually exists or the file is readable or something like that. So there's another table that talks about this guy. So let me go down here and bring that guy up. So all these guys are legit. And here's the one about files. So if I want to know if a D, that means it exists and it is a directory. E means it exists. F means it exists and it's a plain old regular file. Okay? R means it has read permission. S means it exists and is not empty. That'd be kind of cool. And W, whether or not you have write permission. And then you have one that says older or newer, which is kind of cool. So inside a shell script, you could say, hey, if this file doesn't exist, or how about a better one? If this directory doesn't exist, let's just make it. So it'll be one of those things where it's if, I guess I could just fake it out using my example here. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. I got to quit clicking on the wrong thing. I'm gonna fake it because I don't want to mess up my example. Let's just create another example to do this on. I'm gonna do a Control D. Okay, cool. So let's do vi, I don't know, junk.sh. So if I said I hate telling you to do something and not doing it. So bin.sh demo. All right, cool. So if I want to find out if a directory exists or not, I would do -d, and then I'll say whatever this thing is, if demo. So if it exists, come on, dang it. Then do something, I don't know, cd into the demo and, whatever, right? Else, then make the guy, make dir demo, and then go do something else, right? So if the directory exists, then do something. If not, make the directory, that kind of stuff. So one of the things you can do here is, checking for file exists or directory exists is a very common thing you do in shell scripts. So that's why this is in here. On page 207, we talk about looping. Now, again, this is getting a little deep into programming. You do have an upcoming assignment that may require you to do some of this stuff, but not that much. So there's a for, in, do, done thing. I'm not gonna demo that, but you can figure it out. On page 207. So for example, one of the things you can do, remember I talked about when you have parameters on the command line, one of the things was the $asterisk. which would bring this whole thing up, and I could just say for each one of the arguments, go through them one at a time. So the for, in, do, done thing works pretty good. There's a while do and an until do. And there's a case. And I'm not going to demo, but you probably should look at those guys. There's break and continue. Break, it means get me out of the most inner loop. Continue basically means just skip. I want to stay in the loop, but I want to skip everything below me. Okay, cool. So for example, I don't know. Let's just do a dumb one. I tell you what. Let me get rid of this junk, and I'll do a very simple demo. Okay. So here about this. I'm going to do counter is equal to 1, and then I'm going to say while counter is less than 10. Do, and then I'm going to say, I don't know, echo, dang, I can't type today, hello, and then I want to say counter is equal to, remember how this horrible math looks, right? I know, counter plus 1, I know, it looks horrible, and then basically done. All right, what this will do is start up a counter, then a loop, and then, so it's less than 10, it'll just go through, and then counter is equal to counter plus 1. Okay, so, by the way, this is one of those weird, unusual situations. When you're inside the math thing, you know, the dollar sign, parentheses guy, you don't have to put dollar signs on the variable names. I don't know why they give you a pass on that, but they do. Okay, so, whoops. Dang it. I can't hit the keys to save my life. Okay, junk. So I'm going to say, junk, I say, whoa. Aha! CHMOD plus X, I forgot. Right? Junk SH. Cool. Now we'll do it again. And we did it 10 times. Well, so that's how loops work. Doing math, I hate doing math on the machine. It just looks stupid. If you're doing kind of simple stuff, the dollar sign parentheses thing is the way to go. Now, when we were doing math on the command line, we just did the dollar sign parentheses. You know, the double parentheses just is a lot. There's another way you can do it using the expression. EXPR, it's a built-in command. Oh, how can I tell if it's a built-in command? Remember how we, like, type EXPR? Oh, it's an honest to God. I was thinking it was a built-in command. Shows you what I know. Okay, so it's a real honest to God, executable. Okay, and that basically allows you to just do whatever else. Basically, it's the same thing as using a dollar sign. Maybe some people think it's a little easier to do. I mean, for example, you could do something like, I don't know, EXPR, and then say, I'm going to use the back doodad. Dang, if I can get it to work. Doggone it. Okay, well, I can't get that to work to save my life. Have I lost my marble, and do I not know where on the keyboard that guy is? Oh, it's way over here. So here, if I would say, I don't remember what that variable was. I don't know. Score. Plus 1. Okay, I don't remember. Yeah, okay, whatever. Okay. Anyway, the point is, that's another technique. You might find it a little easier to use, maybe. Okay, the next part of the book is talking about regular expression, and I wish we had the time and energy to do regular expressions for real, but we don't. So I'm going to skip over that, plus skip over Python, plus skip over Ruby, plus skip over all the libraries that you can get for those guys, and finally get down to revision control on page 235. Okay, so I'm writing a script, or I'm writing an application. I'll confess, I typically don't use revision control for scripts. I use it for real applications. So let's just start by what the heck revision control is. There's this concept called source code control. And the way it works is I'm writing an application and I'm about 2/3 of the way through, and I go, oh man, I just thought of a brilliant way of doing this. I'm going to undo all this work I did last week, and I'm going to do it this way. And so I spend the entire freaking day using this new technique because it's super cool and nice. And then when I finally get to the end, I go, oh man, that is not going to work. That was a dumb idea. I need to get the hell back where I was. Wow. You just erased a bunch of source code. You really need some way of getting it back. And so source code control and versioning is sort of like, it's analogous to a library. Like if I have a piece of source code that's in the library, I go up to the library, I check out the book, and then I make changes to the book. And then after I finish making changes to the book, I check the book back into the library, and that seals its fate, so to speak. In the example I just showed you, I checked the book out of the library, I made scribbles all on it, and then I go, no way, oh, no way. I just throw the book, well, that's a bad analogy. Essentially, I just don't ever check the book back in, okay? I guess it's a magical book because if you throw away the book, a new book magically appears on the shelf. So probably not a good analogy. But anyway, that's the idea. It's more like a library. So if I ask you in a test question, what the heck is source code control and versioning all about? It's about a way of multiple people to be editing a single application and not overwrite each other's work. Because there's only one book that you check out, and while that book is checked out, nobody else can be making changes to it. And so I check it back in, and so somebody else can check it out and make some changes, and I won't be able to make any changes to it. Now, this all works if the application you're working on has like dozens of files. Now, I'll admit, if you only had one file in your versioning system, well, then only one person could use it at a time, which is not at all what we're talking about. So, it's got some really cool things. Let's just talk about what the advantages are. The advantages would be, it makes a history of all the changes. It actually says, Bob made this change last Tuesday at 2 o'clock. Ooh, I know exactly who's been in there messing with my stuff. You can version by groups of files. In other words, instead of having individual files have versioning numbers, I guess if I modified 4 of them at a time and checked out 4 and then checked back in 4, then I can have a version number on all 4. So, right? I don't have to have individual version numbers on every single one of the files. I can have a group version of the thing. And then, of course, it works really, really great when you have multiple editors. I got 2 people trying to work on this project. Then we won't stumble over each other's work. We won't accidentally erase what other people are doing. So that's a very, very good plus. Now, let's talk about the disadvantages. What if you're a single programmer and you're not working in a team? Do I still use version control and source code control and versioning? Yeah. For that first example I just talked about, you can get so down the rabbit hole and go, oh my God, this was a dumb decision. I want to get back to where this thing was actually working. Take me back, please, to where this thing was actually working before. So that's a very powerful reason for doing that. Okay, we're coming up on the 15-minute mark. What we're going to do is we're actually going to install one of the most popular source code control and versioning systems on the planet. And then we'll be done. All right, so see you guys soon.